Fantastic. We are live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our EHF Euro 2016 Expert Hangout. Well, I thought I welcome you to this EHF Euro and to the new year 2016 in a lovely, well-fitting dress. It's cold here in Poland, but as the tournament slogan says, feel the emotions. I'm sure it's going to be hot. So I take this off. Who needs it anyway here in this hotel room? And I welcome our guests tonight. Our experts will be covering the four groups in the following days for you, as well as EHF TV commentator Paul Bray. Paul, I say hello to you first. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thanks very much, Thomas. Thanks for letting me join you this time.
Fantastic. So we start from Group A, and we have Eric Willemsen, Dutch journalist, who will be here in Krakow with us, covering all the match action. How are you, Eric?
I'm fine, thanks, Thomas. I hope everyone listening is fine as well and is looking forward to all the things that are going to happen tomorrow and the days after.
Joining me from Katowice, where he's been following Croatia, Belarus, Norway and Iceland. Hi, Vlado, how are you?
Dobry wieczór, szanowni państwo. Hello all.
Yeah. There's a German
my Polish.
Yeah, there's a German TV series, Die Sendung mit der Maus. Björn, you're from Germany. What was that language? They always translate things.
I think it sounded a mixture of Slovak and Polish, so hello to everybody, of course. Sendung mit der Maus would say the elephant said it was Slovak.
Slovak, okay. That was German, or that was not German, that was English, but Björn is German, will be in Wroclaw with us covering Germany, Slovenia, Spain and Sweden. And last but not least, Peter Brun, all the man for Group D. How are you, Peter?
I'm great, and I can assure you that if it's cold in Poland, it's really cold in Denmark. So I hope they get the planes de-iced before I have to go early in the morning. So looking forward to seeing you all in Poland, and looking forward to being part of this hangout.
Well, guys, you know, we're just one day away from the first matches, and even though there are 48 matches ahead of us, everyone talks about, you know, who is like the ultimate favorite. And from what you've seen in the preparation, from what you've read, and so on, who is your favorite to win this tournament, Vlado?
I wouldn't like to start because normally I'm not a mainstream opinion, so maybe as a little surprise I would like to conclude. Possible?
Oh, God, okay. Peter, do you have a mainstream opinion that is like suitable for everyone to hear?
Well, previously I have expressed quite a mainstream opinion, as I've said before, that I saw three possible European champions: France, France and France. And I would still say that objectively looking at things, France is the main favorite in my opinion. But there is a very big but this year, and I'm not only talking about the many injured backcourt players that France have, I'm talking about motivations, because as everybody has probably already discovered, we are in an Olympic year, and we have seen before that exactly in Olympic years, France may not really have been there at European Championships, only to win the Olympic gold in style 7 or 8 months later. So that may influence once again on this tournament. Actually, Claude Onesta has already put it very clearly in a TV interview he gave with the Danish TV station TV2 as late as Saturday, where he said, and I quote from memory, the Olympic tournament in Rio is our main objective this year, but of course if we get the chance to win the European title, we'll take that as well. I think that sums the French approach to this tournament up very well. So yes, I still see France as the most obvious favorites. We may be able to come back to a couple of other favorites I might like to mention later. But right now, I would say yes. If I am to point out one team as the team that stands out as main favorites, it will still be France.
Paul, before I hand over to you, just quickly to all our fans, obviously, tweet us your question to @EHFEuro, and we'll throw them at our experts as they come along. Also use the Q&A tool here on the Google Hangouts, and we'll ask these questions as well. Paul, I know you speak French fluently, but does that mean France is also the first team in your books, or is there a different one?
I'd really like France to be the first team in my books, and I agree with Peter that they're still sending a strong team despite the numerous injuries at the back. I mean, it says a lot about them that they're still competitive and deemed to be favourites with that kind of injury list for a lot of other teams. it would be more severe. But actually, I think as the tournament goes on, it might take its toll on them in terms of the depth of the bench. And so, regrettably, on this occasion, I will probably say Spain to win the tournament.
Eric, France, they're in your group. You're going to actually see them tomorrow for the first time. Do you think you will also see them on the 31st of January when the final is being played?
I can't make it any more exciting than what the other guys already told, because France is my main favorite as well. Of course, as is mentioned before, unfortunately they will have to do without several key players, but then in the past they have proven that they still can field a very strong team which is capable to go all the way. France is my main favorite as well. And I think that, of course, as is mentioned before... sorry, here's some technical trouble because I hear my voice back. What I want to say is that the new format of the main round could come in France's favorite. As is mentioned before, it's very hard to get all the way through to the final, but now the main round is a couple of more days, so teams and peoples can get a little bit more rest and be ready for the next match.
Check, I think, Eric, whether you've got this Hangout open in a second window or so. That might be the reason why you actually hear yourself speaking. So to say. I will close all other windows apart from that one.
Teams and peoples can get a little bit more rest and be ready for the next match.
Check, I think, Eric, whether you've got this Hangout open in a second window or so. That might be the reason why you actually hear. Oh, that's better.
That seems to
be better now?
Yeah, that's better. Excellent. All right, guys, let's continue. Björn, which team do you see at the top of the podium come 31st January?
So I think I'm the first who say it's not definitely France the favorite. I just go back through all the Euros and see that the hosting team always, mainly at Euro events, was a real strong force. So maybe we see a final with Poland and France, but I really hope for the tournament and for the atmosphere and what all preparations have been done and the great organization of the Polish organizers and the federation, that I hope that Poland goes really far. They don't have the best team by names, by individual players, but I guess that Poland will be flying on the wings of success, boosted by their fans, and so maybe we see a final of Poland versus France or Poland versus Spain. But I really cross the fingers for the Polish team that they come really far.
Okay. Well, now it's your turn. Who's your dark horse? Come on.
So at the end, it won't be very surprising listening to all you guys. Basically, you pointed out everything what I wanted to say, like Peter with the injuries in the French team, like Eric with the changed format and more rest days, and also with other favorites. But I totally agree with Paul that Spain is my favorite. Basically, their team has been intact. They got the experience. They got the grit. So I see Spain winning this Euro. And also another thing what Björn pointed out, that it's really tough to win the home Euro, that Poland will face this kind of destiny.
But I think if I understood Björn correctly, he actually said that the hosts are usually quite strong. I mean, obviously it's only been
they are strong, therefore I see Poland in the final against them.
Well, let's okay. You say Poland in the final. Björn obviously put them quite high up there as well. Peter, what do you think about Poland? Too much pressure, or like, I mean, everyone talks about these 15,000 fans that we'll see at at Krakow Arena tomorrow. Probably like 14,500 dressed in red and white.
And personally, I would think that that would act more like a motivation for the Polish players than a pressure. I think that we've often all we so-called experts, practically the whole handball world, have already for some years had a tendency to more or less forget Poland or underestimate Poland. I think it came as quite a surprise to most people when Poland won the bronze in Qatar at the World Championship a year ago. And of course, a team does not become so much poorer over 12 months as when they lost by 14 goals to Spain in their last test match. After all, test matches are test matches, and it's always a problem how much weight we can put on those. But that's all more or less we have to judge from, as none of the teams have played any competitive matches since the Euro qualifiers last spring. I had to smile a little at Michael Biegler's excuse for losing by 14 goals against Spain, that he had prepared his players for playing in the evening, and now they played at noon. However, Poland does not become that poor because of a 14-goal defeat. So I'm sure that we will see Poland go far on home ground, and maybe all the way to the final. That would not surprise me. They're definitely one of my dark horses, if not one of the real contenders for the top.
Paul, you were a coach before. What would you like if you put yourself in Biegler's situation? What would you tell these boys?
I mean, the pressure undoubtedly is going to be one of the issues they have to cope with. But I tend to agree with Peter that I think it'll be a motivational factor for them. They've always been highly motivated, really pumped up for games, and we saw how they approached the bronze medal match in Qatar. And I think, despite the absence of Jurkovic, they've got a lot of experience, so I think they won't have the nerves too much. I think hopefully they'll thrive on the atmosphere. And like Bjorn, I mean, I reckon Poland will be on the podium at the end, and I really hope so for the atmosphere. But I don't think he's going to have to really worry about motivating them. I think that they're a very experienced lineup. He's got players who've been around for a long time who can soak up the pressure. And the main thing is to just take it easy. If they go behind, don't panic too much, just build back again. And they did that in Qatar. So I can see them stepping on the podium at the end of this competition, to be honest.
Eric, if you imagine like the atmosphere tomorrow and what it's going to be like, with like 15,000 people. Again, the question to you, like too much expectation, like coming from the public, coming also from the media, or a backing that could bring them far?
Well, there's definitely pressure. There's no question about that. But it was a good point, a good question you asked. Being Coach Biegler, what will you tell your team going into the match and going into the other matches as well? Go out and enjoy this moment, have fun, your best to the court, of course.
I think unfortunately we're losing you a bit, Eric, here. But I think what you say is like. Okay, let's see whether his internet connection comes back. Moving a bit away from the teams and actually talk about the players. Like, if you had to name just like your top 3 players, Bjorn, that you're looking forward most to see at the Euro, who would these guys be?
Of course, I think when you just look on the Champions League, on the last championships, everybody wants to see Nikola Karabatic, if he can play a role like he played at the World Championship or in the last Champions League Final Four. Of course, you want to see Mikkel Hansen, who's definitely on his top at the moment. And for the third player, it will be interesting. Definitely, if you change your position a little bit, I always like to see, and I will see him at least 3 times. It's Julen Aguinagalda from Spain, the Spanish line player. Those are the 3 players I think can imprint this Euro.
Come on, Blada. I do expect like a bit of a surprise naming here from you now.
Basically, Björn took all my cards, but I would stay with the Spanish team. So I like performances of Victor Tomás. He's not only a great winger, but he's also so emotional, and he can deliver the passion to the whole team. He can inspire Spain. So this is another addition what I would like to see. And I am really interested in seeing how Duvnjak will cope with the pressure on Croatian team, with the new coach. I see your face, Björn. And what other player? Yeah, basically these 5. These are my favorite.
Obviously, Paul, I mean, these guys have just mentioned, like really teams, players like leading their team, whether it's like Karabatic for France, whether it's Hansen for Denmark. Well, what do you think in the end will be the more successful recipe? Like a team that relies on a true leader, or that team that actually maybe works in a way where the leadership role is like distributed on like 7 different players, or like the entire team that is on court?
I think at the end of the day, you've got to be able to distribute the roles around the team. I think you've got the dangers with teams in the past that have been heavily dependent on individuals who are outstanding players, and we can think about Lazarov, Rutenka. But you really need the whole team to be working well to get the result at the end of the day, and I think that's really going to be more key. So, and if I can just pitch in actually on your question about players to look out for, I'd agree with the names that have just been given. I might just add as a maybe a slightly different name, but someone who I think is really going places, and that's Sagosen of Norway. It should be an interesting championship for him.
Do you think he's not? Do you think he's already up to it? Like just like picking up on what you just said, because I think he's only 20 as far as I'm aware, isn't he?
Absolutely, and he's. I think he is. He's a very confident player. He's a player who's very comfortable on court. But I agree that performing flat out over 2 weeks, coming out every other day pretty much, and keeping your game at the top level will be tough. It'll be a bit of a learning curve for him. But I do think he's a great player to watch, very inventive. But I agree, he's not going to be at his peak performance yet, but I think he's one who's got a really attractive start.
Peter, picking up, Mikkel Hansen has obviously been mentioned. I think there was a lot of talk in the lead up to this tournament that Hansen is like in the form of his life. Is he the undisputed leader of this team, and is he fulfilling this role 100%? What do you think?
Yes, I would say he is, and of course Denmark still rely a lot on him being at his peak if Denmark should be successful. But if I should pick up on players I'm looking forward to watching, then I would actually mention another Dane, and that's Rasmus Lauge. I'm very, very keen on and excited on seeing how he takes on the role as the first choice playmaker in the Danish team. We saw a bit of it in Qatar already, how he's turning into a leading figure in the team, and judging by what he has been, how he's been playing in the warm-ups and the test matches by Denmark, I'm really interested in and waiting to see what he can do. I think we may have some surprises for him. So if I were to play and name 3 players I'm really looking forward to watching, he would be one of them. Hansen goes for himself, speaks for himself. Everybody knows that he's more or less synonymous with Danish success, but of course he can't do it alone. And with Rasmus Lauge to distribute the balls, a player like Mikkel Hansen also gets better.
Let's see whether we've established connection back to Eric. Eric, which are the, like, let's say, 3 players that you're most looking forward to see here in Poland?
Well, first of all, I'm really looking forward to see Lazarov play for Macedonia, which is at his age of 35. Well, I don't see many more tournaments with him. It's his one of his last. Looking forward to that.
It's like, unfortunately, it's still a bit tricky here with Eric. I think we've lost him again. Lazarov, yeah, at the age of 35, I think that's reasonably certain that he will not play that many more tournaments. Yeah, we will miss him. Oh, I think a lot of handball fans will definitely truly miss him. Whom else will we miss? Like, turning the question upside down. Björn, which of the players you actually miss here because they have not been nominated or because they are injured?
How many time do I have? Because there's so many this time. So well, of course, I start from a German position. In the German team, our both wingers are missing. This is Uwe Gensheimer and Patrick Krötzky. Both are injured, as well as our line player Patrick Winczek. Then, of course, in the Serbian team, the two top shooters are missing with Momir Ilic and with Marko Vujin due to different reasons. Then we have from the Danish team Lasse Andersson, who would be a great knockout player for the Danish side. He's injured, and René Toftansen is out as well. So there are really a lot of players at this time. We mentioned already the French backcourt players like Javier Barrachet or William Acambre or Jérôme Fernandez. So the list is quite long this time, and so I agree with one thing that Paul mentioned at the very beginning, is that the Spains are not that hit that hard by injuries. The only one who's really out due to injury from their starting seven is Dani Sarmiento. So this is one advantage, and yes, Iceland has the same. But there are a lot of players this time who are injured, very good from the Champions League and other competitions. So unfortunately, there's a long list.
Peter, which team do you think? I mean, as Björn said, there's a very long list, and then I think he didn't mention Toftansen, for example, for Denmark. Which team do you think has coped best or will cope best with these with replacing their absences?
Well, again, I'd have to mention France. I don't think there's any, or there is no other team in the competition who are regretting the loss due to injury of so many backcourt players as France are. And I'm pretty sure that they will cope very well with that loss. Maybe, as it has been put, it will be a bit tough for them as the tournament goes on, because they don't have that deep a squad as they used to. So. In that respect, it might turn out so, or it might become obvious that they are missing those players. But from the start, I'm pretty sure that France will cope best with the loss of injured players, which they are suffering.
Would you agree, Vlado?
Completely. Yeah. I'm not sure about Germany, because for me, Germany is. Team is the star, and it has always been true for German teams. So they can always stick together, even after losing so many key players. You can never write them off. But definitely, France has the potential to fill in the gaps.
Let's quickly continue with Germany, Björn, just for a second. Germany and Slovenia are the two teams that have not played in 2014 and return, so to say. What can we expect of Germany here?
I think the German team is quite interesting. We had, despite all these injuries with 5 players, the team managed to have a lot of varieties now, especially in the backcourt access. So what Dago Sigurdsson, the coach, did was throwing them all in and trying to test. And especially there's one player who in the last 3 test matches who had his comeback after 3 years absence of the national team. This was THW left back Christian Dissinger, and he showed impressive performances. The same as Steffen Feeth, who had been missing the World Championship in Qatar. So I guess on the left back position we are better than 1 year ago. On the wings we are weaker, but I still think that Germany and Slovenia, including Spain, of course, can proceed to the main round. And I really think that Sigurdsson has a good hand in implementing a new team structure with all those losses.
Paul, how do you see Slovenia, the second newcomer in inverted commas to this Euro?
We've had an interesting time, of course, with the Gajic announcement, and he was left out, which seemed a big gamble on Vujovic's day that they've lost Dolenets, and so Gajic may be back in again. But I mean, Dolenets is a big loss for the Slovenians, so that's a real disappointment. But they have an experienced team. They have players who are performing well in the Champions League and in their clubs at the moment, and I would have said that they would go through at the expense of Germany from this group, but without Dolanets, I actually think he's quite a key player, and I wonder whether that might just take the edge off their attacks. But I still think they're a very impressive team. They've always come out and surprised a bit, and of course we mustn't forget the World Championships in 2013. They went all the way to the last four. And it's much the same core of players who've been together, know each other well, and play together. So I still think they can make it through to the main round.
Let's stick with that point and go through it group by group. We're just going to quickly double check with Eric. Eric, can you hear us? Okay.
Let's start with Michael.
Just let us know when you can join back in. Peter was talking. Paul was talking about, who might have the edge in Group C when it comes to the point of, going home after the preliminary round or not going home. Let's go through it group by group, Paul, and I give you Group A in the absence of Eric here. Which team do you see ranked at the bottom in this one?
Well, it's going to be a tough fight between Serbia and Macedonia, I reckon. I think France and Poland will be the strong teams in the group. Serbia, because they're so depleted by the loss of Ilic and Vujin and Nemanja Ilic, but they still have a fair bit of experience, and I sense they might just edge the match against Macedonia, and it might be the Macedonians who end up going home early.
Vlado, how do you see that for Group B?
For my group, I see that it will be very interesting. I see Croatia as favorite, definitely, followed by Iceland. But to be honest, it's very tough call to say whether Norway or Belarus will do it. Currently, it looks like that Belarus is hit much harder, not only by two new injuries from just recent days, as two their starters from the lineup got injured, their first goalkeeper, Charapenko, and also the right wing, and Serhej Rutenka's brother, Gianni, injured. So basically they lost two key players. And the most interesting thing, and probably something what will decide about the fourth team, will be performance of Rutenka, who left Barcelona at the start of the season, went to Qatar, but didn't stay there for too long, and basically was 1 month without the club. Yuri Shevtsov was trying to catch up and improve his lack of match practice, and kind of stubbornly he let Rutenka play in all friendly games up until the tournament. But we have to see whether this will be enough or not. I have to say that he is still a very important person for Belarusian team. You might remember 2 years ago he played the first game of the Euro despite having 39 degrees temperature just one night before the first match. So he's something like a inspiring national hero. And 2 years ago he still managed to pull Belarus with him to the main round. So it will be tough, but at the end I would go for Norway. That as Paul mentioned, that their team was not very hard hit by injuries. They got this rising star Sagosen, and I think if I compare their roster to the one from 2 years ago, just Christian Schelling is missing from the key players. So yeah, probably Belarus will be the fourth team.
Björn, in Group C, I mean, it's been, dubbed the group of death, and it's obviously probably the most delicately balanced of all. And when you wrote about it, everyone could go to the semi-finals. You said everyone could go home early. With 2 days to go for this group, who will go home?
I would first say that maybe in the end all four teams have the same number of points and the goal difference will decide, but I have no final prediction here. No, I would say the problem is that Sweden has good wings and good counterattack, but they lack performing level and and real good shape in the backcourt area. So I would say the Swedish defense might be the best together with Spain in this group, but it's not enough in attack. As you know, that Kim Ekdal-Duriet is out. He quit playing for the national team. Jim Gottfriedson is injured. Kim Andersson has retired from the national team. So I would say that Sweden, in a very, very equal decision, will be the fourth team.
Mm. Peter, in Group D, who will only see Gdansk and no other Polish city?
Well, I think Group D is one of the easiest groups to predict, at least when it comes to which team will go home. With the risk of being quite unpopular in Montenegro, I would say that they are my favorites to have an early trip home and early return tickets, and therefore also not seeing any other Polish citizen Gdansk. They simply lack the depth in the squad and the routine, the experience compared to Denmark, Hungary, and Russia to compete in that group. They have not yet won a match at a European Championship, and I'm afraid that this will not happen this time either. So with all respect to Montenegro, I will say they're my favorite for an early home trip.
I think unfortunately we'll have to continue here without Eric, who seems to have ongoing technical difficulties. Let's talk about a bit about the not yet so much known players, Paul. If you had to pick, you know, who's set to shine, who's on your list. You know, you mentioned Sargesson before. He's only 20-year-old, but a lot of people already know his name. If you had to give us a name that not that many people know yet, who will be famous after this Euro?
Famous. I guess I'm probably going to be a little bit biased here and look at the French team, who've brought in a lot of the youngsters, and of course they seem to have won every single men's title this year at senior and age group, and they've got some very exciting young players who came in. And if you want something a little bit off the wall, a bit different, maybe Remilly, the French right back, who played really well in the Golden League build-up tournament, probably earned him his place in the French team. So I might just say him as a slightly unusual one.
Björn, who for you? Who's the player that we don't know yet, but we will know come 1st of February?
Yes, the thing is, if you know Christian Dissinger is the one I had already mentioned, this would be my first choice. Otherwise, I would have said, of course, they know him from Champions League, that Lasse Andersson could be the rising star of it. Unfortunately, I would have named some of my favorite Slovenian talents, but unfortunately, Veselin Vujovic, most of them he left out of his squad, like a player like Blas Jans or a player like this small Stas Schube. But unfortunately, they're not in the squad. They're not in the squad, so the one is injured from the Danish side. The Slovenians are not nominated, so I stick to Christian Dissinger then.
Your rising star for the Euro, Vlado.
Actually, I think Stas Schube has been nominated back to the team today or just a couple of hours ago. So maybe
I think it's Sebastian Schube.
It's his brother.
That's Sebastian. Okay.
Yeah.
What about Jakimar Gunnarsson? I think Icelandic team is putting a lot of hopes on him. They were kind of following his injury all the time, but he said just yesterday that he's 100% fit. So I put my hopes into him that he will lead Iceland very high in the tournament.
Peter, before I get to you, we'd just like try and get Eric back in here, who's joined us again. Hopefully his technical difficulties have stopped. Eric, can you hear us? Seems to be like an unfortunate going back and forth. Okay, Peter, back to you. Who is set to shine here at this Euro?
Well, if only his ankle is fit, there's still doubt about Michael Damgaard's ankle, which he injured against France on Sunday, but at least he's in the squad and expected to be playing. Then I think we may see some interesting things from him. He has developed a lot after joining Magdeburg from Team Tvis Holstebro, and I think that many people are not really aware of him, but he makes scoring goals looks so easy, and for instance, his first step shot is almost out of this world. So he will be a really good supplement to Mikkel Hansen when it comes to shooting threats from the Danish backcourt line. Another player I would like to mention is another Scandinavian backcourt player, and definitely a completely new rising star on the handball hemisphere, and that is one of those players from the Swedish backcourt line in which Björn doesn't have so much confidence, and I agree with Björn about that. Let me say that. But one Swedish backcourt player that we might look forward to watching is young, only 19-year-old Lukas Nilsson from Ystad, who was, and I think that was deserved nominated for the Swedish team. If he gets the confidence from the national coaches Olsen and Lindgren, we might really see some astonishing things from him. So those would be my to watch, want to watch players or to watch out for.
I mean, this is obviously about who becomes European champion, but at the same time, we mentioned at the very beginning with France being not the best team when it comes to Olympic years. This is also about the last two remaining spots for the Olympic qualification. Obviously, we have a lot of teams with France, with Spain, Croatia, Denmark, Poland, Germany, Slovenia, and Croatia. I think already either directly qualified or in the qualification tournaments. But there are two more spots left, and we have teams like Hungary, we have teams like Sweden, we have teams like Iceland who don't have a place yet. Who will have a place after this tournament, Björn?
So at first we have to say that one of those teams who has already a ticket for the Olympic qualification tournament either will get a direct spot by winning the Euro in Poland or by becoming finalist against France. So in this case, Macedonia are the lucky ones, because then they are qualified for qualification tournament by the 9th position from Qatar. So definitely I would reserve one of those two tickets to Iceland. And the second one will exactly depend on one match, and this is seen by Peter in Gdansk. The winner of the match, Hungary versus Russia, will get the second one.
Right, that's a very clear choice. So no chance for Sweden here. Paul, who do you see at the Olympic qualification, or grabbing these two remaining spots?
I'd go with Hungary and Iceland to go through on the Olympic tickets.
Peter, you also supported Sweden's young talents. Do you give them a chance to claim one of those two places up for grabs?
I do give them a chance, but I'm afraid I have to be a bit boring and agree with Björn and Paul that Iceland and Hungary are the most probable candidates for the two spots.
Vlado?
Hungary, Iceland, definitely.
Okay, well, there's no disagreement here. Guys, I hope I can find some disagreement now. I mean, as I'm sure we'll see, we'll have another hangout come the end of the tournament, and we'll get back to what we're going to talk about now. I need your 4 semi-final predictions for this tournament. Vlado, I can't make you go first.
You can.
Björn has it in his head, I can see.
Yes.
So on my screen, I just go from left to right, which is Björn, Paul, Peter, and then Vlado.
So going through the group C and D, so definitely Denmark will win their group D, and definitely they are one of the favorites for the semi-final. If a team from group C goes through with a clear spot, they're also directly, in my opinion, qualified for the semi-final, as they will definitely beat Hungary and Russia. So I would go for Denmark and Spain from Group C and D. And to be honest, I would go for both teams from Group A. So Poland and France from Group A, and unfortunately no team from Group B in the semifinals.
Paul, who are you semi-finalists? Well, hang on, I'll just quickly get this back to Björn. Well, you've answered it, I think, at the beginning, but who tops the podium in the end of these 4?
Okay, then I say Poland.
Okay, good. Paul?
Well, you wanted something a bit different, so I'll throw one change in the mix there. I'd agree with your finals being France beating Hungary, and Spain beating Poland, and the final lineup being Spain, France, and Poland. First, second, third.
Okay. And Peter, your turn.
I can't add much to it. My four favorites for the semi-finals are and have been for a very long time: France, Spain, and Denmark. And now I've said so many times that I see France as favorites, but I'm not exactly said that I expect them to win. So let me say that now we who will be European champion. That will be Denmark. In front of France, Poland, and Spain.
Okay, my connection is really bad for this one. Say it again very quickly. Who was first, Peter?
Denmark in front of France, Spain. And now I get some echo also.
All right. As the connection gets worse, Vlado, quickly.
Okay, I see Spain versus France in one semi-final, and Poland versus Slovenia in the other one.
Okay, and who tops the podium?
Same for me, yeah. Spain will beat Poland, and Slovenia will win the bronze medal.
All right. Thank you very much for joining our Hangout tonight. Very much for watching. I apologize for the small technical difficulties that we're having here at the moment. For everyone who wants to follow EHF TV, all games will be live, and together with his colleague Clayton will be commentating. And Eric will be with A, Björn will be from Group C, Peter from Group D, Vlado from Group B. Visit ehfeuro.com, enjoy our coverage, our tournament, and I will all see you back soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.